Hello YouTube, I'm Juhan Rodrik and today I'm making a follow-up video for my Facebook video, which was my portrait book video, and here today I decided to show some of my smaller artworks and more like artworks from my sketchbook that I have made. And here I took one of my sketchbooks that I have transformed into and put together into like a display book, like this one, and it's pretty handy to make some small artworks. Then my collection can contain more artworks. It's easier to store them than a vast quantity of big canvases. So I kind of love my sketchbook, and I let it rip there. Like I just go crazy and do something. And here's some things I have done that have come out of my sketchbook, and these works are also presented on the links below the video. And for example, this one and a few of these, not all of my sketchbook, but all ain't ready. But here is I sometimes take it out and continue doing it, and some this one, for instance, I started making this sketches started in 2010, and it stood as just a line drawing in my sketchbook for a long time, and for a few later years I started coloring it and transforming it into the current form as it is. If I go through my sketchbook, I discover something I have drawn a few years ago or something, and then I just decide to continue it into something else. That I didn't plan to make it like this, but it just grew organically into the current form as it momentarily is. Maybe next year I may transform it into another, add something like, or it may grow to something else. Does happen sometimes. Well, this one definitely is going to grow into something. It's pretty much not ready. This one I made in 2007, and it has stood in my sketchbook until 2010. I decided to color it. This one drawing is also made in 2007 or maybe even 2006. I'm not really sure when I actually drew it, but it's a pretty old sketch that I decided to paint over, and it has now grown into the shape of the current looks as it is. I added a beach to it, and in 2013 I went to boating classes, and then I amplified my sea subjects that I'm using, and added some buoys and markings used on sea, and navigational markings and things like that. So that amplified my boat subject. I also have done sea-related works earlier too, but yeah, that provided some extra inspiration for the subject. And on the next one, I have a few sketches on the other way. Well, this one I made kind of invented a pretty handy easel for my sketchbook. I have never used it for sketchbook, but works excellently. I don't shake it in my hand like I did it with my Facebook video here. And this one has also grown over the years. I drew it in 2010, and I colored it a few years later into the current shape as it is at the moment. And I just figured to draw some sort of biking fantasy evening scene or something like that, and kind of love it how it came out. And it's one of my favorite sketches I have made. Doesn't feel sketchy at all. My sketches actually grow into into small artworks, and I don't consider them to be sketches, and I like them a lot. They save me a lot of space too, because I don't have much room for canvas storage. Like if I would have all these artworks on big canvases, they wouldn't fit into my home. And this one I made, this work I made a little. This hasn't transformed much. I just drew it in pretty much in one go. And I was walking in the harbor, and I found that I found some inspiration for making a harbor scene, and was checking out some videos on cigarette boat videos, and so I added a cigarette here, and I was also working on a cigarette painting, because cigarette boats were pretty inspirational for me, and they had stylish colorings and nice design. And I made a little harbor scene like this one. Just improvised that. I had an old sketch, and I started working and colored it up in one go into its current shape. It's like mixed media with pencils, pens, and some paints and some markers, and I used whatever I had, whatever drawing tools I had on hand for this one. I kinda like how it came out, and it's also presented on the links below the video, so it's also available for some things I have designed, put them on items. And the next one is like Latino inspired painting. I made this one for a warm-up when I was making a photo wall for a grill party, and I like spicy foods, and then I was playing around with some ideas of that subject, and made a sketch like this one in the process. Next one I drew, like just tested different kind of colors, and worked on a figure of my kind of pin-up series or something. And this one probably needs some work. I don't know how I'm gonna continue with it, but that will. I kind of like it too, but it's maybe I someday add something, or I don't know. Can't tell today. Well, one of my painting overpainted sketch from 2007 and 2008. This one is 2007 and this is 2008. And then I also I still add some surrealist subjects and make some fantasy elements, and I take a sketch of something, and sometimes I improvise something else on the background, like, I don't know, architectural arcades, and I never know what my next move is. I go into the painting and I just work with it, and just flows out as it comes together like this. I didn't plan to make a saucer here, but it looked like a good idea, and I just hit it. I usually, if I find some inspiration and it fits into my painting, I will most likely hit it. If I paint a portrait and I want a flying saucer on the background, I'll hit it, or floating lips in the sky, or something else like that. Usually happens. I quite don't put any filters, any logic filters on that to, well, I don't have to be accurate. I'm not a camera that I photograph whatever happens in front of it, so I completely improvise. I feel like an inverted camera that photographs whatever's going, whatever my mind improvises. Like, and here's two more. This one I also made in 2007, and I'm kind of pleased of this mix between comics and some impressionist moments, and I decided to combine them. I was also studying a lot of art history at the time, and then I mixed different styles up, like impressionism and pop art, and I still do. I sometimes move, like, use expressionist style and combine it with pop art and surrealism, and yeah, and something else, like, and a mixture of all that is what I do, and I kind of like it. Oh, gotta make a switch again. And here's one I also improvised of my sketch. I sometimes do a lot of sketches, like work the lines out, and I color them up later. That sometimes I take along something and that I have sketched earlier, and start coloring them as I'm outside, and or waiting, and or whatever, and doing. Then I figure out what to do with them and develop them. This one is also a long developed work that I started has grown into this form during a 2-year period. I guess that most of the time was in my sketchbook, and when I discovered it, I started doing it again. And the next one is one of my colorful horse. I was sketching a painting, and this is actually 2016 painting of mine that I made to test some made into my fictional animal series, and I was testing different kind of colors, how would a horse would look like with some other colors that are more like a fantasy horse colors than any real animal would have. And here's two more sketches. Here I was using an old camouflage technique called dazzle on a figure, and made a crazy pinup like this one, and this one is also improvised as into the current shape as it is. That's one of my artworks of 2012, and and here's one sketch of my character of 2012 when I invented my Lady Dynamite character. I have absolutely no idea where the inspiration actually originated. Probably I was listening to Prodigy and painting pinups at the same time, so these two got combined, maybe. And still confusing how I got inspired for this one, but it's kind of revolution starter and a fire starter and something that kind of a character. And the next one is one of my sketches that I drew. This is not a mixed media one, it's just used felt tip pens and different kind of pens. This one is more like a pen and felt tip pen and marker and painting and more like mixed up techniques on it. And here's one of my drawing, and here I decided to use some dazzle on a car. I made this when I was painting my own car. I painted my own car over. Like I wrote my name on a car, on the length of the car, and on both sides. And then I was driving around with it. My ride was advertising my name, and then I decided to work some other car designs and visions like this one, and sketched these up into these artwork styles as you can see here. And the next one is a little sketch that I made in 2007, and I was testing some comics-like and wider outline for my artworks, and I figured that I'll try out some coloring, and here I haven't gone any further. I have some that I have made into paintings, and previously I also showed a few that I had done into paintings, like maybe it was somewhere around here. Oh yeah, that one, for instance. This is from the I made at the same time, and later I colored it up much later, and maybe I'll do something with that too. I have no idea at the moment. And the next one is also that I have at the moment. I don't have idea what how am I going to continue this one, but I definitely will do something with it, and but I don't know it today. But I kind of like it in the current form too, so maybe I'll do some minor attachments on it, and it will be ready, and I'll publish it into my collection. That you can also look my artwork collection on the links below the video. It's also represented in as prints and other home design elements and items that are on the links below the video. So if you like some of my artworks, then you can ask me about the original paintings, but prints and items are down below the video in the description. And my contact information is also in the description below the video. So if you have further questions that come into mind and I didn't talk about here, then you're welcome to ask me some additional information and I'll help you out. So I think this would be it for today, and thank you for watching and see you next time.